Hello Bluebirds. Right, chapter 2 of how not to go to school. Chapter 2, how to care for your grown-ups. Monday the 30th of March 2020. This morning I was woken up by a dripping sound. Our roof has lots of holes in it because our cottage is really old and tumble down. And when it rains we have to gather up all the buckets and bowls and bottles to put underneath the drips. I don't mind the drip drip dripping because it makes our house sound like a deep dank cave, but when we're all stuck inside together everyone starts to go a little bit crazy. By the time I got up, Beau had already knocked over 3 bottles and spilt a bowl of Cheerios across the floor. I had to hop between the shrinking islands of dry crunchy cereal to avoid my slippers getting soaked in soggy Cheerio mush. Beau was being very good because he was already cleaning up his mess by picking up and eating up the dry Cheerios from the floor. I poured myself a bowl, but before I could get the spoon to my mouth, Mum had rushed in shouting things like, "Don't let your brother eat the food off the floor," and "Where's my phone charger?" and "Oh, now I've got mush on my slippers." I tried to explain that she should hop between the dry islands of cereal, but she wasn't having any of it. By then, her phone was plugged in, and one eye was glazed over her screen whilst the other eye was glaring at me, even though it was on Beau's mess. After a few moments, she tore herself away from her screen and sighed, "Oh, I think we've got a serious case of cabin fever." Cabin fever is what happens when we all feel cooped up from being trapped together inside our little house for too long. And as soon as someone says cabin fever, we all start singing "I've Got Cabin Fever" from the Muppets' Treasure Island. We've had cabin fever so often that I've learned all the words and can do all the voices. Unfortunately, Beau hasn't learnt all the words yet. He only knows the "I've got cabin fever" line, and in fact he thinks it's "I've got gabba beeba." Mum and I cleared up the cereal, but Beau was still singing "Gabba Geeba" again and again, and Mum had gone back to her phone. So I thought I'd go and feed the animals before the cabin fever got any worse. Whilst I was feeding the animals, I made an incredible discovery. Looking after the animals is just like looking after grown-ups with cabin fever. Grown-ups are like dogs. Just like dogs, grown-ups must be taken for regular walks. Otherwise they start pacing up and down the house and muttering to themselves. Grown-ups are like cats. Our cat, Alfred the Great, is on a special draconian diet from the vet because he eats too much. And when Mum's stuck inside, I need to stop her snacking too, or else she'll have eaten all the snacks and there won't be any left for me. Grown-ups are like guinea pigs. Guinea pigs don't do very much. Even imaginary guinea pigs are a little bit boring, but they do give very good cuddles. I found that a short cuddle is a surefire cure for grown-ups who've caught a bad case of cabin fever. Grown-ups are like stick insects. It's very easy looking after a stick insect, but sometimes I worry that Stickosaurus might be a little lonely without any other stick insects. There's at least 2 of everything else. Even I've got Beau, although he can be very annoying sometimes. But Mum doesn't have any other grown-ups in our house. Maybe that's why she spends all the day blabbering on the phone about crystals. Grown-ups are like goats. We've got a copy of the RSPCA guidebook for keeping goats. Well, we've got all the pages apart from 45 to 52 because Diane the goat ate those. Anyway, the guidebook says that goats must not be tethered. That means tied up. Even though they're fantastic at escaping, you shouldn't tie goats up because it can hurt their necks. My mum's phone is always needing charging up, so sometimes she sits for hours, stuck to the wall, staring at pictures of crystals and looking at the news, just like a tethered goat. I decided that my mum needed some looking after, so I hid her phone charger at the bottom of Beau's toy box. This ticked off most of her needs because she was exercising by rushing round the house, she wasn't tethered to her phone, and she got a hug from Beau when he said sorry for putting her charger in his toy box. I felt a bit guilty about getting Beau into trouble, and also my plan only seemed to make the cabin fever worse because by lunchtime everyone was grumpy with everyone else. That's why I've now decided to hold an official family meeting. Here's the agenda that I've made for the meeting. Official family meeting. Attendees: me, Bo, Mum, Alfred the Great, that's the cat, Stickosaurus, the stick insect. And discussion points are: what are the symptoms of cabin fever? How to avoid catching cabin fever? What to do if you suspect you or a member of your household has cabin fever? What should we do if everyone has cabin fever? And finally, any other business. That's the end of chapter 2.